Welcome to the Tara Palmeri Show. It has been quite a weekend. President Trump had a really shocking reversal on the Epstein files. He decided that he's for releasing them. He gave the House permission to release the files, or at least to vote to release the files. And I'm guessing because the House now has permission, so does the Senate. I think that he's following them rather than pressuring them one way or another. I think the writing was on the wall. That's what I heard from my sources. Polling overwhelmingly showed that there was bipartisan support for releasing the Epstein files. And I think he realized that there were enough votes for this to happen and he had to succumb. You could say he had to surrender to the release of the files. So we'll see what happens. But it's really stunning to me because I think we have to remember how hard he worked this summer with Speaker Johnson to make sure that this vote didn't happen. They let Congress out of session early this summer. They had a really long recess because of it. They didn't want them to vote on releasing the files. They stalled confirming the new congressman from Arizona, Adelita Grijalva, because they didn't want to have a vote on this. And now it just seems like the dominoes were falling. And I reported on that last week, if you've been following the podcast, that this was happening. You had Greg Stube, Don Bacon, a number of others joining Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace in this call to, release the Epstein files. So I think he realized it was unsustainable and that they might actually get a majority of Republicans, a veto-proof majority, even more so. And so that even if the bill was on his desk, he would have to vote on it. And he says, he's doing it in the name of talking about affordability, that this has gotten in the way of his messaging, but it is a stunning reversal. I, of course, am always suspicious when it comes to the Department of Justice and policing itself. This bill would command the Department of Justice to release the files. Will it be all redacted, like what we've been seeing right now, just tons of redactions all over, like what you see on the FBI's website? Or will we get a real understanding of who is involved in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring and a real understanding of why he got this sweetheart deal? I'm a little dubious, to be honest. I think as long as Pam Bondi, who obviously lied to the American people about the Epstein files for so long, and Kash Patel, the FBI director, are in charge, we will not get the full story. I can hope and I can pray, but I am very, very suspicious. But yeah, this is one of those few stories where few people can agree on anything in this world that we live in, especially in America right now. But they can all agree that these files need to be released. And I think you could even see with the fight that he had with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been pretty adamant about the fact that she believes that the Epstein files need to be released. And he called her a traitor. He called her Marjorie Traitor Greene. But on the internet, on X and on all of those places, if you follow closely, a lot of MAGA world sided with Marjorie Taylor Greene in that fight, which shows that President Trump is losing grip on his base. That might explain why, when asked about Tucker Carlson and the decision to platform Nick Fuentes, the white supremacist and head of the Groypers, why he said, oh, yeah, sure, let him come on the show. Tell everyone about it. Let them decide. It seems like he might be afraid that he's losing his grip on the MAGA base. And we know this is all happening while there's a civil war playing out over the decision to side with these white nationalists, these anti-Semitic white nationalists, all over the idea of America first. It is quite a time in the Republican Party. But in the meantime, I want to tell you that Lisa Murkowski, the senator from Alaska, who was the deciding vote against releasing the Epstein files in September, has made it known that she will vote to release the files if the bill comes to the Senate. Take a listen here.
House is set to vote next week to release the complete files over Jeffrey Epstein. I'm curious about your thoughts on that initiative.
About time.
Sounds like you'll probably vote for it if it lands on your...
Yes, I will. I will support it, whether it's the House version that I'm assuming will come across. But there's also a measure in the Senate that has been introduced, and the opportunity to support that is also one that I will welcome.
Yeah. That's right. And if you've been a longtime follower of the Tara Palmeri Show, and if you read my reporting at the Red Letter, where you can get all of my exclusive reporting straight to your inbox, and you can support my independent journalism there, you would know that Lisa Murkowski had a very tangled web with Ghislaine Maxwell. And that's what made this vote so shady. It was on the same day that Charlie Kirk was murdered. But, she has known Ghislaine Maxwell's husband for decades through the Arctic Circle. And then Ghislaine Maxwell met her husband, this man, Scott Ferguson, through the same circles, the Tara circle, which she used to launder her name, to try to clean up her name after being so closely associated with Jeffrey Epstein. There are so many ties between them. Also, Lisa Murkowski's biggest donor and the woman who owned the Alaska Dispatch, a very influential newspaper, was also a very good friend of Ghislaine Maxwell's. They had so many ties. In fact, at one point, they were speaking at the same conference together on the Arctic Circle. So, she voted against releasing the files without disclosing this. Now, after we reported this and it is all out in the sunlight and you all shared that story everywhere through either the red letter or on your reels or on YouTube, which you, by the way, can share this reporting to all of your friends. I think that pressure campaign really helped to make sure that Lisa Murkowski did the right thing, because that's how it works. That's democracy. And reporting and journalism is really important in that, not just punditry where you express your opinion, which is important. Everybody has an opinion and is allowed to express it, but like real investigative journalism. Having investigative journalism, I think it really tells us a lot about what's going on. I mean, there are still questions about what happens in the Senate. John Thune is the Senate majority leader. How long will he hold on to the bill? Will he just put it on the floor right after the House passes it? Because a lot of bills go to die in the Senate. Anyone who's been covering politics the way that I have for so many years knows that if you want a bill to die, you send it to the Senate. Will John Thune get the okay to just put the bill on the floor and pass it? We'll see. I think we're all eyes on what's happening there. I also am just curious to see how many Republican members vote to release the files. And I know a lot of you have mentioned Michael Wolff because he has said a lot of terrible things about me in recent days.
Michael, I want to play something from a journalist, and just to get your response. And this is Tara Palmeri. She posted.
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it.
You don't want to? Why not?
First thing, I think she's incompetent and an asshole, and I'm going to pass on that.
Okay. Well, she's saying that you should release all of.
Yeah, I know. She doesn't know, and she's just a blah 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 blah. Forget about it. Let's not go there.
After I called out his almost incestuous relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, he's a writer. He was saying he was a journalist, and he had such a close relationship with Jeffrey Epstein that not only was he giving him advice on how to clean up his public image and how to get something from President Trump, but also at one point they put in a bid to buy New York Magazine back in 2003. That was revealed in the New York Times this weekend and through these emails. And I'm just like, could you imagine if Jeffrey Epstein owned an influential New York magazine? I mean, this just shows you that when Michael Wolff says he sucks up around his sources just to spit it all out, that really it's more than that. He's actually trying to get things for his benefit, that this is crossing the line between journalist and source. I mean, you have to have ethical lines. And Michael Wolff clearly blew past all of them. Another example of blowing past these ethical lines, he sent an advanced draft of a feature. I don't know that this feature was ever published, but it's in his book. But he sent an advanced draft of it to Jeffrey Epstein to read. Can you imagine that? I mean, if you did that at a magazine or a newspaper, you'd be fired for doing something like that. And here he was almost asking him for sign off on what he was about to write about him, a convicted sex offender. And also, if you actually read that article, which you can find by going to tarapalmeri.com, that's TARAPALMERI.com, you can read the unpublished feature that Michael Wolff was going to write about Jeffrey Epstein. You can see it's actually pretty glowing. I mean, it really paints Jeffrey Epstein in a very positive light. And the fact that there is a money trail between them, an idea that they were going to go in on buying a publication that Michael could run, it really reeks. Michael Wolff says he has dozens and dozens more tapes. He's been sitting on them. He, dribbles out whatever information he has on Jeffrey Epstein. why not put it all forward? Why have you been sitting on it for so long? I mean, there are just so many questions there with Michael Wolff. And so while he may attack me for calling out what so many others have seen, that this is an inappropriate relationship between a source and a journalist, what I see is really, really, really troubling. And, it makes me upset because it's not great for our business. It's not great for journalists, but I needed to respond. And I did in this recent post on tarapalmeri.com. That's TARAPALMERI.com. And I'm not responding for me. I'm responding for what this means for journalism and this immoral collusion between a writer and the subject who he claimed to report on. I mean, he was certainly helping him. Look, listen to one of the emails that Michael Wolff sent to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, this was obtained by the House Oversight Committee through Epstein's estate. But here's what he's saying about how he should handle Donald Trump. He's telling Jeffrey Epstein, quote, "I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR, meaning public relations, and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime." So there you go. He's giving him advice on how to get the blessing of President Trump by saying, Jeffrey, just like me, is a victim of political correctness. This is foul. So wanted to share that with all of you. And this is an interview, although a short one because I was so busy last week, with Liz Plank, the feminist and humorist, and Stacey Williams, who is a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein. It's short, but in that moment, I felt really compelled to also speak out to Megyn Kelly. There are so many people in this story that I feel like I need to correct, and she was one of them. So thank you all for listening.
We are live, baby, and we are here to talk about this very uneventful week. I feel like nothing happened in the news this week, right, ladies? I am joined by two incredible women, Stacey Williams, who is the 27th Trump accuser. Congratulations. I can't believe it took that many women for people to pay attention, / he still got elected. And now people are maybe coming around to the fact that the things that women have been saying about him all these years maybe are true. Stacey, you dated Jeffrey Epstein, and Jeffrey Epstein actually introduced you to Donald Trump. And so we're going to talk about the week in news, your reaction to everything that's happened. We also have Tara Palmeri, who is the foremost voice and really reporting force behind the Epstein investigation. You've been covering this story for years before it was one of the biggest headlines in the world. So let's start with you, Tara. What are your reactions to all of these emails that have come out this week?
I'm just, obviously, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm still processing it all. It's 20,000 emails, and all of them are Trump, 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 Trump. It just shows how close they were. And I think for everyone who wants to be like, oh, they were just casually friends, I think this really lays out that they have a strong history to the point where Epstein claims to know even about his mortgages, says he has pictures with girls that he could use, talks about the fact that he's in the house, which is something that, the Trump White House has denied. They've denied for so long, so many things that are completely inaccurate, including the fact that he kicked Epstein out of the club. No, they were so close that he didn't need a membership. They were besties. He just went to Mar-a-Lago, and you saw that in the emails. And there's just, and what I've been told from people close to the White House is they're just not allowed to ask Trump any questions about the Epstein story. So anything you're hearing from spokespeople is just not going to be accurate coming out of that White House. And it's just all going to blow up in their face in this huge cover-up. Everyone who's speaking for him is just going to look really dumb, and they should just say, I don't know anything, and just tell everyone, tell the world. There's
Robert
no America.
Says there are more pictures with Trump and Epstein than Batman and Robin. I don't know. We can fact check that, but I believe that. So what you're hearing is that So obviously we've heard the press secretary, get asked questions about this and deny that these emails mean anything. So what you're saying is that all of the people who have spoken on behalf of the Trump administration have spoken not based on any conversations that they've had with Donald Trump about it. Like, this is just them sort of blindly defending him and with information that might not even be true.
I don't know where they're getting the information from, or he's lying, or it's just like, yeah, it's just none of it makes any sense at all. And I was just told, like, people are told, don't ask him, don't ask him. In fact, like, some people that are close to Trump are calling me and asking me, and I'm just like,
Oh my God. If
they're like,
you
how
know
bad
what
is
happened?
it? Like,
Wow. But I want to talk to you a little, and I know, you're going to have to go. You're this is your beat. We need you in 18 places right now, and I really am thankful that you're here with us for a few more minutes. But we've seen actually something really new happen, which is a lot of Republicans defecting from Trump because of this. So we know that Thomas Massie, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Nancy Mace are all, signed the petition. Some of them have even sort of spoken, and sort of shown that they might be breaking with Trump on this. Do you think this will do anything? I think that there are so many of us who have been watching Trump get caught in sexual abuse scandals after sexual abuse scandals and sort of nothing happened. Do you think that this is different? This week is different?
it's just that it's showing they just don't have a grip on the party anymore. And that's really a big deal. I mean, once you get about 10 members voting against it, and already I think there's about 8, I might be right, that are going to vote not against it, for the bill, against him, that are GOP members. I think then the dominoes start to fall. And then, like, if you get a veto-proof majority, it makes it really difficult for the others to vote against releasing the files. And then it puts him in the very awkward position of having a bill on his desk. Maybe they don't get the veto-proof majority and then he vetoes it. Or maybe he passes it and tells his Justice Department, just send them all send it all redacted the way it's been right now. Like, basically what you see when you look at the Epstein files right now. I don't know. Stacey, do you ever look at the files and you're like, that's me, but it's all redacted? I mean, have you ever had that experience when you look at the Epstein files that are available?
No, and honestly, I haven't looked at them too much. I just want to correct one thing. So Jeffrey didn't introduce me to Donald. I knew Donald before.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so I met each of them separately. So that was the first thing I wanted to say. We can get into that later. And I've spoken many times off the record all the way back to 2016 about what happened to Vanity Fair. 2 or 3 times I'm in there. So just mentioning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I know if I'm in them. A couple people asked me. I mean, I could be. I haven't looked closely. I can only stomach this for so long. I have enough information to go out there and get my points across and share my story. And then that's kind of where I leave it for my own mental.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. I mean, and also the files are so expansive. Something I was thinking about today actually was Megyn Kelly. I don't know if you've heard what she said. Stacey, like, you must have a lot of thoughts on this. I know you do, Liz.
It's appalling.
So let's just, for people who haven't seen it, I'm very jealous of your sanity and brain. Megyn Kelly on her show said that she had talked to someone who knew Jeffrey Epstein, and that this basically saying, like, pedophilia is a spectrum. Let's normalize men, basically because he was into girls who were 15, not 5 years old. Maybe we shouldn't be calling him a pedophile. So Tara, what are you, and the both of you, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was just going to say,
sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tara. I was going to say, but just to point out that she was the one that told the Republican Party they should go after Rand for raping a 16-year-old, and suddenly like a 13 or 14-year-old's okay. So anyway, go ahead. I just want to.
Yeah, no, I mean, all of the hypocrisy around that, but also I've listened to a lot of the tapes of the police chief for Kerry, Detective Kerry, and the chief Michael Ryder interviewing a lot of these teenage girls from the local high school where they built that pyramid scheme. And if you listen to their voices, these are very young girls. One of the girls is so young, she's 14, that she refers to Epstein's penis as a wee-wee. I am sorry, but how is that not a child? So the first thing I thought when I heard that was I remembered those tapes, like, and it gave me the chills. And I was like, you need to hear those tapes for yourself, Megyn Kelly. You need to go sit in a dark room, put those earbuds on, and listen to every single hour of those tapes. And they're actually on the internet. Like, you can look at them right now. They are on the FBI's website. And that should make every defender of Epstein, and believe me, there are some of them out there, these weird incels, they are out there and they are defending Jeffrey Epstein. They're being paid probably by really powerful men, by the way, to do that, to tear apart people like you and me and all of us so that we will be quiet. But if you actually listen to these tapes, you will not walk away for a second thinking that this 52-year-old man was not preying on children. Courtney Wild showed up at his house with braces on at 14. It's horrible.
It also flies in the face of expertise, which is something we haven't heard. I mean, we know that, your brain isn't fully developed until you're 26. So there's a complete, child psychology, expertise aspect to this that which, everything she says flies in the face of on top of it, let alone our innate sort of human truthful gut response to it, which is that it's appalling and disgusting.
Yeah, it is such an out-of-pocket take, right? Like, normalized pedophilia is such an out-of-pocket take. She has a 14-year-old daughter, right? Like, there's just like parts of it that just, are sort of.
I don't know if you can recover from something like that, but maybe
that's
in a
my
MAGA
next
right, you can.
question. Like, do you think there will be because I tweeted this, but it was like, in a normal world, the president would have already stepped down. And in a normal world, Megyn Kelly would no longer have a radio show, right? Like, in a normal world, this would have happened already. Can we expect ramifications, or is 2025 just one of those years where, like, every up is down and down is up? I'm seeing a lot of people, social media users, people who are listening to this live right now, call on, Sirius to cancel her show, for advertisers to be, removing themselves from her show. Like, do you think anything will sort of happen, or are we just in this era where everything goes?
I mean, she's on a billboard, like Sirius XM put her on a billboard in Times Square right now. So this is America, people.
Right.
Like, I don't know what to say.
Right.
There are no cancel culture, whatever. People can defend pedophiles. Who knows what's next? Like, everyone's going to get a Nazi tattoo. Jesus, I don't know anymore.
Right.
I'm tired too, so maybe I might say something I might regret, but I know that it will be in defense of morality. That's the one thing I can tell you for sure. And honestly, I'm gonna let you guys take it away.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that I was
Thank you
late.
for joining
I'm sorry
us.
to everyone who waited.
We appreciate it.
And
if Megyn Kelly doesn't get canceled for saying normalized pedophilia, like, there's nothing you can say that'll get you canceled. Let me just put it that way. That's the world we live in. I think you're good. Thank you so much, Tara. Thank you for all your reporting.
It was great to meet you, Stacey. Yeah, and I'm really in awe of what you've done, and the fact that you keep speaking out. I can only imagine what that's like, and like having to relive it all. So we would not be here if it wasn't for the strength of all of the survivors who came forward and told their stories, and they continue to every single day. And like, really, really, really grateful to you.
Well, no, and thank you. Honestly, it's always a relief to see you in my stream. I'm like, okay, she's not stopping. Like, you just knowing solid ground. But you're part of that solid ground under us, that helps. So thank you so much.
Of course.
Please take a nap.
Cheers. Okay.
Love you.
Bye. That was another episode of the Tara Palmeri Show. If you like this show, please subscribe, rate it, share it with all your friends. If you want to support my independent journalism and get my exclusive reporting straight to your inbox, go to tarapalmeri.com. That's TARAPALMERI.com. Sign up for my newsletter, The Red Letter. That is how you keep me in business. I want to thank my producer, Eric Abinate, Abby Baker, who does my research and social media, and Adam Stewart on the graphics. See you again tomorrow.